All right, so why don't we just we'll go into the normal regular intro, but why don't you tell us how many MSPs are successful without ever asking a question?
Not a single one.
Yep. And that's why we're here today. We're here to answer your burning questions, to show you what we've been working on, to dig into any of the stuff you want to show off, and to get inspired. Anything I missed, George?
Use Discord.
Use Discord, yes. Who remembers one of the old Aaron application steps that we no longer mention as much? Anyone? Clea?
You can't automate a process that doesn't exist, or something about documenting.
Jim Barry?
I was going to say the same one, but I think I have another one. Hard water something.
Yeah. Hard water is worse than soft water. Yep, that's what he says.
Yeah. I4, etc.
I found the old script from June of 2023 from my very first Aaron impression.
Let's hear it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly Rock Open Mic. If there's some new folks on this call, this is the weekly users call. We do it because you folks asked for it. On this call, we talk about new features, bug fixes, try to teach you a little bit about the platform, answer your questions, as well as sometimes we have folks showing off the automations they built.
Amazing. You know why I think you did that, Brandon? I think you did that so that you're making yourself both ends of a brandwich today.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to have a demo from Brandon a little bit later, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump into it. George, what's going on the community side?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, lots of fun stuff. Just a couple of quick shout outs just for folks helping fellow users in Discord. Saw a lot of different chit chats going on in our workflow forum and help forum. So some usual suspects with folks like Loa, Noah, John, doing some great jobs just hopping in there and helping other folks. So thank you. We see that. Love the help and support you guys are giving to fellow community members. Yesterday we had our security panel webinar where we were joined with some big wigs from Dropsuite, which is now with Ninja One, in case folks didn't know that. They were acquired earlier this year, Huntress and OpenText. So if you missed that and are interested to see some of the thoughts, I'm going to drop the on-demand link in the chat there. You can check that out, get access to it. Some great conversation. Cole's notes from it is that there's a lot of bad people out there doing bad things. There's a lot of MSP tools and platforms out there doing good things. Client education is still pretty important though, but highly recommend you get out there, check that webinar out, put it on the old Eddie Chow Special 1.5 and give it a listen. Next month, our webinar is going to be on the wonderful world of Imibot and Rewst together. So make sure you peg that into your calendar as well. And with next month being cybersecurity month, I am looking for some volunteers to meet with me to do some community creation workflows. I'm going to drop another little link in the chat for my calendar. If you have a cool security focused workflow, it doesn't need to be crazy sophisticated or complex. In fact, sometimes simple things are better. Please grab some time with me. For anyone who's done it in the past, you're welcome to do it again. And for folks that haven't, it's 10-15 minutes. You just chat with me. We record a quick little video to share with the community. So I'd love to see some folks popping into my calendar in the coming weeks to get that done. Stuart has already signed up. Thank you, Stuart. But yes, love the enthusiasm. Calvin, maybe you'll book some time. We can talk about grilled cheese one-on-one. Debate the Gruyere versus Port Salut, whatever you're into.
That sounds so romantic. I'm booking it right now.
Love it. I'll be sure to choose an appropriate virtual background and set some lighting up for that call. That goes for anyone else who kind of is into that thing. But that's it from community. We've got some big events coming up that we'll talk about a little bit more next week, particularly folks going to DattoCon. So in advance of an announcement on next week's Open Mic, I would suggest to anyone who is planning on going to DattoCon to maybe reach out to your CSM and say, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I'm going to DattoCon, and identify yourself, because you may want to receive a tip or two about what we are going to be doing there. But that's it from the community side. We've got lots of fun things to show from some other departments today, so I'll kick it back to you, Ashley, and we'll roll on.
Thank you, George. All right, so now we'll jump over to Clea for our education update.
Hello, hello. Getting ready to paste the link of our updates page into the chat. In the meantime, if anyone wants to share what they learned about Rewst this week or what course you took in Clea University, would love to hear it. All right. Share, please. I don't like a quiet chat. I will start with the shout outs, and then I'll get to some bigger updates that you may or may not have noticed if you've been in Clea University in the last hour. Folks who recently got certified in Rewst Foundations by passing the exam include Dion, Patrick, Alex, Aaron, Bill, Calvin, Chris, and Ethan. And for clean automation, we have Jamie, Mike, Aaron, Ralph, Morn, and Calvin. Go get certified, get that certificate, share it on LinkedIn, etc. As always, we've got our Discord channel, CleaQ, and office hours every Friday, a few hours before the open mic session. Really, office hours is like secret training with the legendary Eddie Chow. So go sign up, ask him anything, try to stump him, get in there and learn, because self-paced courses can teach you a lot. Live training is a chance to personalize it to your needs. And yeah, not enough people take advantage. So go bother Eddie on a Friday morning, please. What's new in Clea University? You might notice if you were searching for RoboRewsty, because you've heard that we're working on some things behind the scenes. We have shut down this old course. The feature still exists. You can still use it, but there's newer, better RoboRewsty functionality coming. And when we have a course live, we will make sure to replace that one. We also have a brand new crash course, and this one, I really want to drop a link in there. And I'm going to take you on a little tour, because the vision behind this was kind of complex. And I'm really proud of the team, Eddie and Lauren, for pulling things together and making it happen. Big thanks to Blake from the support team and Ian from CS, who looked at our content, helped us improve it. But the challenge really is, like, if you're new to Rewst, what do you have to learn? And what should you learn in your first hour of learning the platform? You might think, oh, foundations, get certified. Well, yes and no. That's useful if you plan on building in the workflow, and if you need to learn highly technical things like how to code with Jinja, how to find the square root of two numbers. Like, there's all sorts of weird technical questions in there. Mastering it is awesome. But you may be someone like me who needs to know what's happening in Rewst, but doesn't do the coding. I offload all that to Eddie and Lauren when I can. So the goal behind this is, like, choose your own adventure. We couldn't call it that because I think whoever created that book series in like the 80s or 70s or whatever, they trademarked that. We don't want to get sued. But it is like, get yourself a fun little ADHD childish delight timer, set it for an hour, and go through this course. It is dipping your toes into the Rewst waters, learning just a little, and saving other courses. There's a little bookmark icon you can use as you go along. So in the second lesson here, you got a quick high-level overview of what is Rewst. What does a workflow look like? What does it do? If you need to know what's going on behind the scenes, go save our automation basics courses. I can do that right now. Add it to my little saved list. The bookmark turns blue. Yes, I did apply some hex code behind the scenes there to make it Rewst colors. But then don't get distracted. Like, you've only got an hour. Get back to the crash course and get through it. Talks you through the organizational hierarchy, which we've seen as a point of confusion for folks new to Rewst. And if you need to learn more about how organizations are set up, we have a whole Rewst onboarding learning path for you with 10 whole courses, right? And maybe you have gone through those onboarding courses, but say that someone joins your team. Do they need to go through all 10 courses? Probably not, unless they need to reset up your PSA integration or whatever. Crash course is what we highly recommend going to. You'll notice that there's no net new resources, but we leverage existing videos from other stuff, like the platform tour from the onboarding overview course, and a video from our ROI with Rewst course on building a workflow. So check it out, give us some feedback, go through the knowledge check, and then when you get to the next steps lesson, like, do take the whole 5 minutes to actually figure out what you should do next, because that is going to be very different based on what you need to do in Rewst. If you're not sure what you should be doing in Rewst, find out. Talk to Rewst, talk to whoever bought the thing for your company, and get specific. One that we recommend to everyone is process engineering. That's like going back to Aaron's law. You can't automate a process that doesn't exist. Figure out how to document that process. Figure out, can it be automated in Rewst? And then how do you automate it in Rewst? If you want to focus on platform setup and troubleshooting, there's more there, tech foundations, etc. So go take that course. Let us know what you think. And thank you for any feedback.
That's awesome, Clea. Thank you so much.
Oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. Do you mind if I take like 2 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
This is, it's kind of funny. And since we've been talking a lot about RoboRewsty and generally like chatting with a little AI assistant, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that. So we have a lot of new documentation. I'm not going to list it all. You can read it on the page. What you may know is that our documentation site has a little AI-powered feature. So I can ask, what is RoboRewsty? Find the answer with AI. And it's going to think a little bit and give me some answers. Some people don't ask questions. My theory is that you will get better results if you frame your question well and thoughtfully. We do know what you're searching for. One of the searches that continues to baffle us is chips. Like, I don't know if someone is hungry and they want some chips or if it's a computer chip thing, but ask it questions. We notice that there's not a lot of that happening. It's just like workflow and like, what are you expecting to get? So ask it questions. Don't be shy. And thank you for your time. Back to you, Ash.
Thank you so much. All right. And now we will jump over to Daniel with an A, the Canadian one.
Hello, everybody. All right, we have an exciting week this week, but we have more exciting weeks coming up. I'll quickly go over some of the new stuff that we accomplished in the last week. I just wanted to shout out our engineering team quickly, and there's also a few other people who submitted tickets this week or who completed tickets this week. We launched, I think, 50 or so, 48 or 50 new pieces of functionality or I guess tickets this week associated with bug fixes, with maintenance tasks and all that type of stuff. So that equals out to over, I think, 2 per engineer. I'm bad at math, but yeah, we launched a lot of new cool stuff this week. Or sorry, I should say we released a lot of new cool stuff. Some of it's behind feature flags, but I'll just talk about a few of them. and then we'll show off a couple. So we have 2 new integrations just to talk about this, or that we're not going to talk about too much this week. I'll just let you know that they're out there and available, but we're going to have more on this in the coming weeks. So we released Drop Suite, which enables the automation of cloud backups and disaster recovery. We released Leader integration for billing information and license purchase. Brooke is going to talk to us shortly about some of the redesigns and new functionality available in the Crate Marketplace on the details page. And then we added a XML-to-Jinga filter. So that changes your XML over to a dictionary. We do have an existing action for parsing XML, which is Beautiful Soup, but there's a limited functionality in Beautiful Soup. So we used, so we've added this to add some more XML parsing functionality, and I'll show that off in a second. A ton of new bug fixes and chores were accomplished as well. Too many to go over in any sort of crazy detail. One thing I will mention is be sure to show up to the open mic next week. We have some exciting stuff to talk about. Our testing with RoboRewsty is going very well, knock on wood. We're continuing, we're doing internal testing this week. We're moving to some limited beta testing next week, and we still are fully on schedule to release this in September. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about it a bit more next week. We have a BVoIP integration that's also coming up, and some dashboard functionality that's coming up too. I'll quickly show just a little bit of the XML to dict filter, just using the live editor. So as you can see, I can re-render this. It takes this XML and neatly puts it into a JSON object here that you can then use in your automations that you're building. So yeah, this is just, again, a new Jinja filter that we've added. It does not use Beautiful Soup anymore because of the limited functionality. But yeah, with that, I will pass things on over to Brooke to show you some exciting stuff with the Crate Marketplace details page.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. Hi, everyone. I will go ahead and share my screen. Just wanted to share off something that we launched today, which is a change to the Crate details page. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this amend mailbox permissions, and you'll notice that there is a new look and feel. All of the pertinent information about the Crate can be found in the upper right-hand corner, such as the number of installs, the primary workflow, and you'll also notice a couple of new items. One of those being that we're starting to call out those integrations and organization variables which are required to power the automations. And you'll note that there are different statuses. So for example, this Microsoft Exchange Online needs installation. You're required to have at least one of the PSAs. And so for my org, I've got Halo fully installed and configured, but ConnectWise PSA and Datto Autotask need to be configured, or they need configuration. Same goes for organization variables. And if you were to click on that, you can basically supply that there. You'll also notice that I don't really have all of the requirements to leverage this Crate, but I can, if I just wanted to take a look at the workflows, maybe utilize those in my own automations, I could override those requirements to unpack. So I'm going to go ahead and unpack this. Hopefully it's nice to me, but there's no triggers. So I'm going to go ahead and unpack. You'll notice that there is a new unpacking page. So it gives you an idea of what's going on behind the scenes. And once that happens, you'll notice there's a new dialogue instead of a toast. So if you walk away and something were to happen, at least you know and can acknowledge that the Crate has been unpacked. And one of the key changes that we've made is once that Crate is unpacked, you can basically click through, have easy access to all of the different pieces in there. So say, for example, if I wanted to go directly to the form to kick off this automation, I could do so. Same goes for scripts, workflows, etc. So yeah, that is a walkthrough of the new Crate details page. So thank you.
Monte, do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I think this looks awesome, and I think obviously the details or the crate environment is continuously expanding. One thing, if I can just throw my 2 cents in there, that does annoy me about crates is that, as you just said, you use Halo, right? You don't use all those other PSAs. So when you unpack a crate, it just slams your list of workflows with workflows you'll never use. So when I go into my workflows of our primary org, it's just like workflow soup, and I've just had to continuously like tag it with new tags just to keep it workable where I know where to go find stuff. So I was just wondering if there's a consideration of like saying, hey, since I know you use Halo, I'm not going to unpack the workflows that don't need to, be used for you.
Definitely, and definitely heard that feedback. We don't have any sort of timelines for that, but that is definitely a consideration for the future.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, I lost my screen. All right, now we are going to jump over to JP. JP, you've got our marketplace updates for us today.
All right. Hello, everyone. For the marketplace update today, we have a few bug fixes we're releasing. Most of them, for at least for Microsoft onboarding, are surrounding some edge case and some additional logging. For the find inactive computers in RMM crate, we added some edge case handling for when no results were found. On the alerts on login for non-native country, basically the graph actions were pulling in lists of countries in 2 different formats. So we had to create in some mapping to reconcile that for comparison. And again, some more edge case type stuff for offboarding as well. Just to go over some of the upcoming stuff and kind of where when we can expect those released. The first 2 items, the add form link to PSA, we basically created a crate that creates like a generic, basically a template crate where you can add certain like form links to certain PSA tickets based on the way the tickets are created. So that should be pretty useful. It's something that's used very specific functionality in some of our other crates, like adding onboarding and offboarding form links, but we made it more generic so it was easier to kind of get that off the ground to begin with. Per machine password rotation, that one took a little bit more rework than I would have liked. So, but that should be again released next week. It's the original one was built for Automate and IT Glue, so I had to go back and redo a lot of the comparison because we're using sub workflows that formatted data in different ways. So I had to add some additional return data to that as well. BitLocker activation, that's one that's kind of on the back burner that will probably be in the, again, next couple of weeks. And the effort, the ongoing effort to enhance logging for user onboarding, that Epic had about 54 tickets in it in different places in the onboarding workflow where we're enhancing our logging, and we're about 75% of the way through that. So a lot of work has been done for that. To this week, we're releasing a pretty cool crate, and we're going to do a demo of that here in a minute with Paul, and that is for Huntress. So I'll send it over to Paul, and he can get that started and show you what he's built.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to go over the new crate. It's called the Huntress AD account lockdown crate. I'll go ahead and share my screen and get into this. All right. So this crate's it's made for using Huntress. So when you use Huntress and you run into a scenario where it isolates a client based off, I don't know, it's a Friday afternoon or something like that, and you get a wonderful call that there's an issue and it happens to be ransomware and you have no idea what's going on, and then you have to disable everything. Huntress does that automatically and it'll isolate the client for you. It doesn't disable the on-prem account, which is what this crate mainly does. So we'll go through everything with that and show you how this works. So you can find this crate in the crate marketplace. Just typing in Huntress, you'll find two. It's going to be this one right here. But we'll kick it off. So here's my Huntress test environment. First thing you're going to have to do with Huntress is set up your integration, and you're going to have to add a PSA to this integration. So Manage, Autotask, Halo PSA, and BMS are supported with this crate specifically. So you'd have to have that set up in Huntress. Once you have that set up, you can test this by simulating an incident, which is very useful. You go in here, we're going to select a product. And we're going to select this machine, and this is going to act like something happened to this machine. It's going to isolate it. So we'll go ahead and trigger that. And that is triggered. That's going to, since you have that integration set up in Huntress, it's going to create a ticket in your PSA with this specific information. This is going to trigger off a webhook that we have set up in the crate, and it's going to trigger the workflow to run. So we'll go through that. So that's running right now. It's going to run through. Since the machine is isolated, it's not going to run PowerShell or anything like that on the machine through the RMM because you won't be able to get to the machine. It's isolated. There'll be ports that are open or the ones Huntress, the agent for Huntress is using. So you use the API for your RMM, and it's going to grab the last logged in user for that client via that. Once it gets that information, it's going to then run a script on your domain controller to get more information of that user, mainly to check to see if that user is a domain admin. So we'll let that run. Second here, it's on my test environment, so it's probably going to go a little slower than normal. We'll give it another minute here for that to return. Just want to make sure it's pointing to my right domain controller. Which it is. Since it's taking a while, I'm just going to pull up a video of this and just use that video to show this, because I don't want to waste everyone's time here. So we'll go ahead and go to that exact part. So it's going to get the user data and run through that. Once it gets that data, it's going to have the groups and the username listed. From that, it's going to go to the next part, which is creating a webhook. Remove that. It'll create a. Oh, no. All right, it's going to create a webhook within the PSA. We'll go ahead and pull that up and show you how that looks. 1 second here. Um, let's see if that finished running so I can actually show this. Okay. So that did finish running eventually. And now we can pull up the that ticket that we have here. And you'll notice that there's going to be a webhook here that appears. Within this ticket, you can click this link here and it's going to disable the account. It's going to be the last user logged into that device, and you go ahead and click this if you want to disable it, and that's going to kick off the next part of the workflow. And basically it's going to initiate a script from your domain controller and disable that account. And once that's disabled, you should get an update in the ticket as well. So that ran, so now you're going to get an update in here. And it's going to say the account has been disabled. And now when you look at the account in Active Directory, it should be disabled. And that's basically how that crate works. And then that's pretty much the whole crate right there. It's basically just a quick way to disable the account in case there's a major issue. If something is getting isolated, there usually is. So that will just add an extra layer that will get disabled and allow you to disable it easily. It doesn't disable accounts that have domain admin rights. So if the account is part of like a domain admin group, it's not going to disable that account, and it'll let you know that it is a domain admin account. If you want to bypass that, you can disable or unsync the workflow, and you can move the specific transition right here that says admin account, just throw it behind here. So that will bypass that if you wanted to do that. But other than that, that's how the crate runs. And if you have any questions about it, just let me know. But that should be it.
Thank you, Paul. All right. Check in doesn't play. All right, so now we are going to jump into our demos. We've got 2 people on the docket. We're going to start with Daniel with USA.
Howdy. So, I've got to show you guys today. We've been working on our portal for a while now, and one of the most recent additions we've added is reporting for clients. So I was going to show kind of how that works. It's actually the most Rewst-native part of our portal, so it's pretty good to show how easy it is to set those pieces up. The reports are some of the easiest parts. We've done so many great things, but a lot of it has been manual work, but this one has not, so it makes it great. So let me make sure I get the right window here to share. There we go. So here's our portal. It is a Rewst app platform app. We've built the sidebar here is just HTML code essentially. We've done some Rewsty things to make it show or hide certain items, but we don't use like the Rewst-native buttons because we're doing the showing and hiding so much. It's been easier just to do plain HTML on the side. But what's important here is the reports, which are the Rewst-native table views. They take workflows as input and then display the results so that everyone can see them. So we have several reports for clients. We actually have a few more than this, but it's hiding the ones that the client doesn't need. Like there's a list for Screen Connect users we have, so the clients can see how many of their employees are Screen Connect users and what computers they have access to. What's nice about this is any system that Rewst has access to, we can theoretically then give that information to the client. And so in this case, we're pulling data from, for the computer list, we're pulling from Automate, we're pulling from Manage. And in that, we are combining the data. And then I think there's one other data source. Oh, no, it's all Automate and Manage, but multiple parts of Automate and Manage to get the data together, which I'll show here in a second. But for clients, they can go in here, see their servers, their virtual machines, and their workstations. Generally speaking, the server assets will be like the Hyper-V host, and then virtual machines are the DCs and the file servers and all that fun stuff, and then workstations. And it will show things like patching percentage on it, which is nice. It shows Huntress is installed on that server, which is great for them. And we've got lots of other reports. Again, these are just workflows. So they, in this case, this is the get computer asset information workflow. It's the same workflow for all three. So we just go through, we get automate computers, we get managed computers, we kind of merge the data in those two lists together. Then we get additional information out of automate, like is Huntress installed. Then we get additional information out of automate, like what the patching percentage is. We bundle all that together, and then we separate out the three lists for the three different workflows as variables themselves. So pretty simple stuff, relatively speaking. We have to do some fancy stuff like Automate's API for getting patching data is a per machine API endpoint. So then we have to loop through every single machine to get to patching. James in here saying that he would have made it look prettier if he had known I was going to demo this today. He's my automation engineer. All right, so when we actually look at how this works, so here's another example. This is in the app platform builder page. You can see here's our page specifically for the assets list. It is just a data table with a data source that goes back to a workflow. It's, get all computers from portal, the workflow we just looked at. And importantly, what we're using is the use latest workflow source. This means the last time that workflow was run, that's what it's going to load the data, which is nice because it means that the page doesn't have to wait for the rest of it to load, which is fantastic. So that makes the page loads much, much quicker. Then you have to go, we just schedule these to run on our clients. They run every single day, so the data can be up to a day out of date. That's fine. We get a cached copy when the page loads, makes it nice and quick. So definitely don't sleep on that use latest workflow. You just have to then also schedule it to run on a regular basis so that there is up-to-date information available. And again, in this case, all three of these use the same one. We just filter on which context variable we're pulling out to display in the data tables. So again, pretty easy stuff there. As far as like what Rewst is doing all the heavy lifting for us here. There is one special trick on this page that we do, and that's this HTML container we add. The actual HTML, I think it's under properties here, yeah. Basically, this is just JavaScript that it finds all the data tables on the page and hides them if they have no content. And that way, that's why when we look at it here, we don't see a workstations list. So this is the only real secret sauce we've added of our own is like, hey, if the data table is empty, just hide it and the header to go with it. So it doesn't show up at all. Client doesn't see it. They don't know they're missing anything. That's important, especially in the case of like servers. Not all our clients have servers. Actually, a lot of our clients no longer have servers. So there's no point in showing them the servers or the virtual machines asset list. If they don't have those, they just see workstations. They don't even know they're missing a module. So that's the only real trick I have to add here is, hey, make yourself a little HTML container to hide in on the page that will hide those if you don't want the client to see them. And I was just showing here's the actual, like the sidebar that we use. And it is just straight like HTML links, basically, going to those pages. So we don't do anything super tricky there. We just don't use the Rewst stuff so that we can more easily hide the various pieces. So that's what I had to show. I don't know if there were any questions that came up.
Thank you. And saying he also does that, but he includes a button on the page that calls the webhook. No questions. All right. Thank you so much for demoing that. You can tell, or James, I guess, like you can demo next time if you want, and then you will know what's happening right away because you're the one that's doing it. That'll be fun too. Now we are going to jump over to our master chef sandwich creator, Brandwich himself. Although, is it now a Brandon Dan cake because we had Danwich layered within the?
It's just an open face
Brandwich?
sandwich. No, it's a cake now. We went. Ash and I went over the cube rule of food before the call, and anything with more than 2 tiers is considered a cake. If it was just me, then it would be Brandon toast.
All right, so now we're over to Brandon. Welcome.
Awesome. Hello. It's been a while. Good to be back.
Yes, it has.
I have been very head down into growing Zentop, and I just came for air
Brandon
today. So, one of the challenges that we have at the sister MSP to Zentop is dispatch, triaging, making sure tickets come in and they are actioned accurately, immediately, and then assigned to someone. When we really sat down and thought about it, a lot of the assignments we were doing for low priority tickets were basically round robin to the lower tier technicians. And it didn't really matter which one they went to. You know, we have some people who are more skilled in certain areas, and anything that was high priority critical related to, you know, very specific infrastructure, we do a little bit of thinking as far as this is the best person for this job. But for basic, you know, I need to reset a password, I need to add calendar permissions, this one app won't let me connect. It didn't really matter who they went to. So what we've done here is we've rebuilt the actions on the stock crate for Rewst's triage workflow into one that's a little bit more customized to us. It uses a little bit more logic on there, and then also made a follow-up workflow that will actually dispatch the ticket out to technicians on the ConnectWise calendar as long as it's a low priority ticket. Eventually, we have plans to grow it where if it's medium priority and high, then it looks at the skill mapping in ConnectWise, and then if it's critical, then it actually triggers a emergency Teams call with the team that needs to take a look and say, hey, this is like a whole company down kind of a thing. So let's see what happens when we first get a ticket in. We have a board called Triage. So we have a trigger that is set for just any new ticket on the board called Triage. First up, we begin, we define our initial variables. This is just to make our telemetry reporter work. And then from there, we go through and list out all of the notes on the ticket. So pretty simple action here. List all notes, ticket ID, just grab them all. From there, we go ahead and start putting ticket info together. This is going to look for notes and start cleaning stuff up. So it's going to clean out any automated updates from our tier 2 ticket instance. It's going to clear out any headers from forwarded emails we don't need, so from lines, mail to, and then also clean out any URLs on here. They can stay, it's just a lot of input context that takes up a lot of tokens that we don't need to be there, so I only care about what the person wrote down. So we're going to go through, we're going to clean those up and then add them to this cleaned notes array. From there, we're going to format a JSON object that is ticket summary, ticket description, which is the clean notes, and then catalog. This catalog here is defined by a cache org variable. We're not changing our type, subtype, item, and priority mapping very often. So rather than make a call to ConnectWise API every single time this runs to pull that out, let's just cache as an org variable. So whenever we make a change, we'll run this data cache workflow. It's pretty simple. List all the types, list the subtypes, list the items, get their associations, get the SLAs, and then upsert the cache variable. Then we send it over to GPT-5 Mini. We found this is a pretty good balance of pricing and also feedback for the specific task. So the user message is going to be that ticket info object, so that JSON object with the summary, the description, all the notes, and then the list of possible mappings for type, subtype, and item and priority. And then we have a system message here. This is kind of long. I threw it in VS Code so we can look at it a little bit easier here. So open up the preview. Control KV in VS Code opens up a preview for Markdown HTML in case anyone did not know that. So you are ticket classifier for an MSP help desk using ConnectWise Manage. Your job, given a user message containing a JSON object with ticket summary, ticket description, select the most appropriate type, subtype, and item from preferred catalog, infer their impact and urgency, and then compute the priority using the provided SLA matrix. Here are your inputs. Here's the output we expect. Here are your classification rules. normalize the text, extract key entities, exact item name matching beats everything. So if QuickBooks is in the message, you can assume that we're going to map it to software QuickBooks. If there's multiple matches, prefer the most specific item and then use contextual anchors to choose the right subtype. There's some type hints on here. So here's what our types mean for incident, problem, request, general question, or junk. Tiebreaker, if ambiguity remains, is if first the exact name is present, then if the exact subtype is present, if the name business app is under software, the device context, and then finally a generic line of business app. We have some information here on our impact and urgency, and then some priority deviation, just making sure that we never free set a priority via text computed only from our SLA matrix. Lastly, we have an example. We had to put in a not part of your output here because sometimes it would just output the example if it didn't know what to do, just for, hey, here's what we expect on here. If you are working on building system messages, use AI to build your system messages. Go back and forth. Say, I need to make a system message for this context. Here's what I want good to look like on here. Here's what the inputs are. Build me a comprehensive message. It will do a fantastic job at putting the content down and formatting it in a way where it knows that it will use it more effectively than I can probably think up. After that, though, we're going to go ahead and get the response and then log if it was successful. We'll go ahead and add a note to the ticket saying, here's what we triaged it as, here's why we triaged it this way, here is our confidence in how accurate this is, and then here is the priority level that we have chosen. And then it also pulls out clarifying questions. So if it has something where it's not more than 95% confident, it'll go ahead and ask 2 more questions in the ticket note saying, hey, use this to narrow down a little bit further scope if you get this as a technician. Lastly, we update the ticket, we move it on to the help desk board, we put the status ready for dispatch, and then we move on. From there, we have a completion handler. If it's successful, then we're going to go into this CWPSA auto dispatch handler. First thing this does is it sets the initial input variables, so ticket ID, priority, number of days to offset, and logs, and then it's going to check. In V1, we're only caring about priority for low. So if CTX priority is low, then go ahead and proceed on. Otherwise, go ahead and put a note in the ticket saying, hey, this looks like higher priority than we're okay with dealing with right now, so go ahead and manually dispatch this, please. We're going to list all members of here with the default type and service department ID for our help desk engineers, and then we're going to go through and get their schedules. This is going to reach out into ConnectWise PSA based on the that Teams pop-up gets me every time. Based on the member ID and then the initial offset of days. This is going to set the current time, get member info, get their calendar, get their time zone. So in ConnectWise PSA, you have different time zone and calendar attributes on a member ID to derive which time zone they're in and if they have their own special business or working hours, what that is. From there, it's going to list out the schedules and then do some Jinja in a transition transform action, which I recommend using these transforms if you can. It's really easy to put stuff into a variable contents here. And then if it fails, it actually takes a failure route versus failing in the transition and then sometimes failing the workflow entirely silently. A lot of Jinja in here to figure out time and date. Time and date continues to be the bane of our existence, but it will figure out if there are any available time schedules here. Eventually, the goal is to get back who is available, who is scheduled below 80% on their calendar, and out of those people who are scheduled below 80%, who has the most available free space, and then it'll dispatch a ticket to them. What happens though if there is no one available today? Let's check the next day. So we're going to go ahead and increase that offset. Offset days is offset +1. And then try again. Figure out what the next working day is. Today's Friday, so it's going to go and check Monday. If we still don't have anything 2 straight days in a row, then it's going to go ahead and add a note to the ticket that says, hey, we checked a few days ahead. We still can't dispatch this. It's low priority, but I need someone to do this for me. But assuming we do find someone, we'll go ahead and path back here. We will use another transform here for setting a variable to set the start and end time in the ConnectWise formatting that it wants. We'll create a schedule entry, so this actually schedules out on the calendar, and then we're going to update the ticket status to assigned. So what does this look like in practice? Well, we have a ticket here. This was put in with the initial summary, unable to connect to time off request portal remotely. So we're going to start. We are going to list all notes. Here's the notes we have here. Hi team, tried logging into the HR time off request portal through remote apps menu this morning. Keeps giving me a connection error. I can still access all other applications without any issues. It's just the one HR app. Not super urgent. I can submit the request later this week. Wanted to let you know in case something needs to be fixed. I wish all of our tickets came in this way. This was me making a ticket of what perfect looks like. We're going to go ahead and generate the response, add the triage note, and update the ticket. Quick warning for going from light mode to dark, or dark mode to light mode. There you go, you're safe. And this is going to look like this. Beep boop, your ticket's been triaged. Ticket mapping is incident, software line of business, impact urgency, medium impact, low urgency, priority 4 low, 85% confident, so it's going to give us some clarifying questions. Here's the rationale they figured out. Issue is a specific application, not affecting any others. Can't connect, but the user state is not urgent, so impact is not high. No indication of multiple users affected, so low urgency. And then no explicit entry for HR time off portal, so defaulting to generic line of business app. Clarifying questions are there any other users affected? And are there any other functionality or mode apps degraded? We can see that it set the impact and urgency matrix here, which drives the priority based on our settings in ConnectWise. And then it also sets the type, subtype, and item. Moving into the dispatch handler, we went ahead and pulled the variables in through the completion handler. We checked the priority, it's low. So we're going to go ahead and list out our members. We looked at our members here, and we can see we have the member ID, the member name, and then schedule. These are all of the schedule entries on their calendar. If they're busy, then what time they're busy at. In this specific run, it looks like it actually did run and check on Monday. So we didn't have any more availability today. So we went ahead, got member schedules off of Monday. We found an available member. We set the schedule time. We created the schedule entry, updated the ticket status to assigned, and we are good to go. So back in our ticket, we can now see under resources, we have one of our technicians scheduled for Monday at 8:30 a.m. and the ticket is in assigned status. And that's it. I see a hand up from Brian.
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing for my organization as well. And how are you factoring in emails that come into triage that are based on like a reply that's already an existing ticket that's been triaged and dispatched?
So, good question. At the moment, the next step on here is going to be start merging that together because I want to also at the same time make it start handling voicemails. A lot of times we get a voicemail callback and it's transcribed in the ticket, but it's like, hey, I'm so-and-so calling back for this technician name. It can find that ticket. Right now, we're kind of relying on ConnectWise and other workflows to automatically deduplicate this before it comes in. So when this workflow runs, ideally, it's a brand new ticket every time. In your environment, if you don't have existing workflows either on the ConnectWise side or the Rewst side that would automatically do that deduplication, I would recommend factoring that in the triage workflow side.
Okay. We also get a lot of junk in our triage, so I'm wondering if you have something built in for that too, but different question.
So junk is actually part of the type, subtype, and item mappings that get fed into it. The funniest thing possible happened when my business partner, BJ, submitted a ticket that was like, help, my computer's on fire, I can't do any work. It actually triaged it as junk because it was like, this looks like a fake ticket from someone making a joke. This is obviously junk.
Okay.
And Daniel, did you have a question?
No, that was me trying to hit the react button and accidentally hit the.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I'll scroll through the chat here. I see one from Adam. Does your team only touch these tickets after the automation is run? We do this as well, and the issue we face is our techs go through triage and Rewst will scan and categorize. Yes, so the triage portal is hands-off for technicians. Technicians are not allowed to touch triage. It's an entirely different board ID. So by the time it ends up on help desk in a status that they can look at and touch, it is already in the state where they're already done doing the poking on the Rewst side.
Hey, Brandon, can you switch screens?
To which one? Oh.
To Eddie. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That makes sense.
Anything.
Thank you. All right. Thank
Just scroll through the chat
Brandon.
here, see if anything else.
Paul, question.
Yeah, I was just curious because so with this automation, right? Like, what's your role of how does your dispatcher role change, right? Like the human role. What does that look like now?
Yeah, so we still have dispatch needed for a few different scenarios. First up, answering the phone. when someone calls in to our automated or our phone line that's not automated, we have a human pickup, and then they're the ones who runs through and figures out where the ticket needs to go, if it's merged, if it's new. But at that point, once they make the ticket, they put it on the triage board, and then they are instructed just to wait a few minutes. From there, the workflow does the rest of the process. Also, at the moment, anything that is higher than medium priority, it's still in our SOPs to have a human take a look at it. We don't fully want to hand off the process to AI. It's great, it's cool, but it's not always perfect. So we do want to have someone in the loop still. Our goal on the MSP side of things is not necessarily to remove job function people, but rather automate as much as we can away to let them focus on the things that they care about most. So our admin dispatch role is kind of a split thing. We don't necessarily have enough that we need to have someone sitting down and touching technical tickets all day. So a lot of that comes down to some in-office duties, running to the post office, handling inbound phone calls, scheduling contractors and stuff. So removing the stress of having to triage and dispatch all the low priority tickets is definitely a big uplift for their just kind of quality of work and life.
Okay, sweet. Thanks.
Thank you. We are at the top of the hour, I guess. That brought us to the end here. Any quick questions or anything that anybody wants to get off their chest before we wrap up?
I do want to quickly shout out our Zentop build engineer, Jeremy, for getting the dispatch handler workflow running. There was a lot of issues with trying to figure out the date and time for ConnectWise. So I appreciate the head downness and willingness to just poke through all of the fun of converting time zones and figuring out what exact string format ConnectWise wants time in.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. There's a silly little, I think it was like a TikTok or something where the guy was wrapping up his meeting and he's like, I'll give you all back 7 minutes of your day. He's like, 7 minutes. And then he's like imagining all the things he could do with his free time. I'd like you all to go off and imagine what you could do with 2 minutes. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Meow. Meow, meow.
Bye.
See ya.
Meow.
Meow. Meow.